Welcome back to the Corporate Curriculum with Dr. Danny. Today's episode is titled, Your Network is Your Capital. So I'm going to talk about two things today. One, New York is having a legendary summer. Like, if you haven't been to New York since May, June, you are really missing out. Like, you really need to come to New York. We are on a run, like legendary run. I'm also going to talk about networking and how networking is your social capital. So I'm going to start right now talking about New York. So we already know the Knicks won. Knicks in 5. Knicks won the championship in June after 53 years. And last weekend, Hov took over the city. He had a 3-day legendary run at Yankee Stadium. You really just had to be there. I already knew. Once those tickets dropped, that was really like the hardest like concert to get tickets to. The first day when the tickets dropped, I was trying to get tickets for the Blueprint because I really know a lot of songs on the Blueprint. So I was like, all right, I'm going to try to get tickets on Saturday. I need to be in the building. I was like 10,000 in the queue, 20,000 in the queue. Those are the hardest tickets I ever tried to get in my life. But I was able to get the resale tickets for the first show. The first show was Reasonable Doubt. I'm not going to lie. I'm a day one Jay-Z fan, but I don't know like the whole Reasonable Doubt album. But I was still excited because one thing I did know is I was going to be in a building. Like I needed to be there for at least one show. I really wanted to be there for all 3 shows, but I had to be there for one show. So I bought the Reasonable Doubt tickets. And as I was buying a resale ticket for Reasonable Doubt, they released the tickets for the 3rd day, which was what I was calling this whole time for the last few months, a mystery concert. So it was the Jay-Z Extra Innings concert. So I was like, oh, I got tickets for the first day. I'm excited because we're going to be in a building. I'm going to see, like, what is this all about? Then I was sad because I didn't have day 2 tickets. And I was kind of skeptical about day 3 tickets because I didn't know what we were going to get. But Hov really took over the weekend. I think it's such a blessing to be able to have a 30-year run in something where you are still at the top of your game. Like Hov really took it from hustling from the streets to rapping to businessman, mogul, all of the things. And to be able to just get on that stage by yourself and just rock a stadium with 44,000 people, 45,000 people. I feel like we just need to honor that, especially being from New York. I know they say if you can make it here, you can make it anywhere, but Hov is like, Hov really showed us that you really can do that. So, the whole city was excited. I was excited.
With the bullshit, baby. Give me that funk, that sweet, that good stuff. With the ribbons in the system. Ain't no telling when I'm fucking when I get so. That's what they be yelling. I'm gonna rip my blood. I'll be late. Y'all be chasing. I'll be placed up. Huh?
I didn't really know what to expect. Of course, you always have haters talking about, oh, Hov doesn't do good shows. It's only him on the stage. He just moved back and forth and rocked the mic. It's always going to be a hater. No matter what you do, it's going to be a hater, right? So I was just like, I'm going to be in the building because I already knew that was going to be legendary. So I got tickets for the first night. I went the first night, Reasonable Doubt. It was so fun. My tickets they was like nosebleed tickets. I was all the way at the top. But it was like such a good time. One of the most memorable things, though, is Nas coming out. I've never seen Nas perform, so to see Jay-Z and Nas perform on the stage at the same time, that was really legendary. Like, I was so excited just to see it. I was, all the way up to the concert a couple weeks out. I was listening to Reasonable Doubt over and over and over so I could learn some songs. But Nas really took the cake. The energy in Yankee Stadium was really epic. Like, I don't even know how to describe it. It's like it was really epic. And then in addition to Nas, Beyonce came out, and I am a Beyonce stan. Beyonce can do no wrong. I want to go to every Beyonce concert. I'm still sad that I was being cheap and I didn't go to the Renaissance concert. The movie was cool. Well, it was fun, but it just reminded me, like, when Beyonce does something, we need to do it. So Beyonce came out on the Mary J. Blige sample, and of course she rocked it. Beyonce rocked it. Blue Ivy is amazing. Like, it is just such amazing to have two parents that's legendary in their field. Like, we have Beyonce, we have Jay-Z. You was able to come out and rock Beyonce's show for 2 years. Now you came out and played Feeling It on a piano for your father. I don't even know if she really can appreciate it right now, but she will be able to appreciate it later on. I was excited to see Blue Ivy too. So the second night, I really wanted to go to the second night. I planned on getting tickets the day of, but I think because the first night was so good and there was so much hype around it, we weren't able to get tickets on the second night. So anyway, I was a little bit sad. But the third night showed me a lot of things. One, the security at Yankee Stadium has to be the worst security in the world. Like, it has to be the worst security in the world. People weren't only just bum rushing to get through, but they were also just 1-2 people walking in, no ticket. So I paid for a free concert. Like, literally, Jay-Z did a free concert in the Bronx, and I paid a lot of money to see it. But I'm not gonna lie, it was really worth every dollar that I spent. And I've been trying to think about, what did I really enjoy about the concert? So I had a really good time at the first night. The third night, I was really like, okay, we waited in that stadium for 4 hours for the show to start. Of course, people were complaining about the wait, but I knew there was no way that we were going to leave that arena without having a concert. So I wasn't really concerned about that, but it was a really long wait. The worst part about the wait is that they didn't have a playlist playing. It was just elevator music for like 2.5 hours of that wait, just straight elevator music. I was kind of upset about that. I'm like, somebody got to be back there. All them artists backstage, somebody has to be back there with a playlist. Like, they could bring out D-Nice, bring out anybody. I don't care who they bring out. Just give us a playlist. Something that is not elevator music. And the elevator music played over and over and over. I think it was like a Yankee Stadium elevator music playlist. It was the worst. But when Jay-Z finally got out on the stage, he came out, he apologized for the delay, let us know, the reason for the delay, which we've been hearing, people bum rushing, they had to shut down the doors, etc., etc. When he hit that stage, the energy was so crazy. It was like, oh my God, I'm so excited to be here. I'm so excited to be here. And then it was like song after song after song, and everybody who was featured on it was out there. Tiana Taylor kicked it off. We had Rihanna. We haven't seen Rihanna in so long. We've been begging Rihanna, please. Okay, we like the makeup. We like the clothes. We like the stores. We so happy for you and the babies and ASAP and all of that. You're giving us all the vibes. Like, can we get some music? We've been begging Rihanna for music. So she came out. She did her performance for Jay. It was amazing. We were so happy to see her. We got Beyonce again. Beyonce brought dancers this time. She was not to be played with. Like, okay, I gave y'all a little intro on night 1. I'm bringing dancers on night 2. So night 3, she brought dancers out. It was everything. Like, it was really, really, like, the energy it's really hard to describe. And I was trying to think about, like, what did I love the most about it? I think it was just exciting to see, like I said, somebody to be able to get on that stage and own 45,000 people. Like, he owned the energy in that room, and everybody that came out. JD, I've never seen JD perform. We had Jeezy. I mean, it was just so many people. Usher, he got a concert right now with Chris Brown. Like, it was just legendary. Pharrell, like, I never seen Pharrell perform. Even Pharrell looked so good, I'm not even gonna lie. Pharrell looked so good at Louis Vuitton doing something. I was like, all right, these old people out here really killing it. And I'm talking shit, right? But they were really, really, really killing it. I was excited to see everybody. Like, the energy was so good. Every song I was like, this is it. Oh my God, this is it. Oh my God, this is, like, I was just so excited. Like, it was banger after banger after banger. Jay-Z really showed us that, you know, he is who he is. He ain't, you know, he's a businessman. Like, he was killing it. Not only that, people were in that stadium with shopping bags. Like, the merch sales that he got, like, not only did he give a good concert, but he had people excited about the merch. People had multiple shopping bags. I've never been to a concert where people had multiple shopping bags of merch, right? I never seen that before. Like, people wanted everything that he was selling, and they was buying everything that he was selling. So what I really was thinking about was, like, this was really historic for me as well, because I've never been to a concert multiple days in a weekend, or even seeing somebody twice in a year. But the way Jay-Z set it up, I think it was genius, because he gave us a whole weekend of shows, but he made it so hype. Like, all right, this weekend, this first day is this first album, Reasonable Doubt. The second day is another album. The third day is whatever I got left. We don't know if it's a mixture, if it's new stuff, if it's a mixture of day 1 and day 2. But he made it so that we wanted tickets to see every single night. I felt like that was ingenious. We already know he comes through with great marketing strategies. He's going to always do his big one. Anybody who missed out on the show, they missed out. It was phenomenal. It just added to the legendary summer that we're having in New York. I really feel bad. I should have a Yankee cap on right now. Like, I really had a Yankee cap on the tips all weekend. The only other thing I would say too is that, you know, other than the long wait, which was worth every minute, I was having a good time. I know people were in there sleeping, but I was having a good time waiting. I knew we were going to get a show. I didn't know we were getting that show. Is people talking shit about Tiana Taylor. I thought that was so strange. Like, obviously her mic was not working. It was obvious that there was issues. We know Tiana Taylor does things to, you know, top notch. She's legendary. You know, not just because she's from Harlem, but the work that she does is always high quality work. So for people to just be giving her flag, I'm just like, people are hating. People really try to find like something negative to say in order to, you know, be a critic, in order to make content. They really always try to find something negative to say say that, oh, this messed up, or this messed up. People are really annoying, but I had a great time. If you wasn't there, I mean, you could get tickets to Paris or London or LA. I don't think it's no place like New York. I don't think he could ever repeat that third night. Like, that third night, the energy was so crazy. We waited 4 hours and the energy was crazy. But yeah, New York, we in here. Knicks in 5, Jay-Z in 3. Like, what else you got for us? Okay, so let's start talking about why we're really here. What I really want to share today is about networking and how your network is really your capital. I talked a lot about Jay-Z and all the people that he brought out, but what I really didn't say is that all of those people are a part of his network. Jay-Z has an extensive network. So not only it is all the celebrities that came out, Rihanna and all of the other people, Pharrell and JB, and Jeezy canceled his concert. For all we know, he canceled his concert just to be on stage with Jay-Z, because he knew how legendary it is. But Jay-Z had people that he could call on in order to make night 3, night 1, night 2, all of the nights a legendary event for the city, and to stamp his name in the industry. I don't know if it needed to be stamped because it was already stamped. But anyway, so let's talk about networking. I talked about in the last episode, how do you maximize your attendance or your investment in networking events? And some of the key takeaways that I shared was, first, understanding your why. Why are you going to these networking events? What are you hoping to get out of it? Once you understand what your why is, then you think about, okay, what is the plan that I'm going to use in order to get the most out of the event? Was it sessions? You wanted to learn something new about a particular topic? Is it meeting different people to expand your network? we already talked about it was for the Bob. That episode really wasn't for you. But what were your goals? Why were you trying to get there? Planning out, the strategies that you would use to accomplish that goal. And then once you got home after the event, reflecting on those strategies. Seeing like what worked, what didn't work. Are there people that you need to follow up with that you met? Being very specific about that. All of those things help you get the most out of your investment in going to an event. But today, what I really want to talk about is why networks are so important. So networks, they are really the social capital that you need to be successful in any arena. Whether we're talking about professional arena, whether we're talking about personal arena, your networks are really the people, the relationships that are going to help you get the most out of any experience, help you get the things that you need, resources that you need. I have a friend, we can't go anywhere without her knowing somebody. Everywhere we go, she know one or two people. If I need something, I need a generator for a cookout. If I need tickets to go to the Yankee Stadium, if I need anything, I know that I can call her and say, hey, do you know somebody that could do this? Do you know somebody to do that? She has a very vast network. And while that network can help me get resources and things for some of the things in my life, like personal things in my life, to enhance a party, to get me in some places that I may not have been able to get access to, that network that she has, I may not be able to draw upon that in order for my professional goals. So if I'm looking for a new job in STEM education, she may not be that person to reach out to. But there's other people in my network that can help me with those things. So you want to have a network that's very diverse. So you want to have a network that's going to help you reach your personal goals. You also want to have a network that helps you reach your professional goals. If there's other types of goals, you want to have relationships with people that can help support those goals. So let's talk about what's the difference between networking and community. So networks are about access. So these relationships are usually people that you may not have deep connection with. You may not even share the same values or have like a shared trust or loyalty to each other. But relationships and networks really allow for access, right? So if you know somebody on Rock Nation, you get tickets to a Jay-Z concert. Even though I heard that wasn't helpful either. But they allow you to get access. They're very transactional relationships. They're about benefiting either you as an individual or a benefit in the group, as in your organization that you may work for, organization that you have a nonprofit, that you volunteer for, something like that. Networks are really about access. Community is a different type of relationship. Those are stronger relationships. So those are relationships with people where there's mutual trust, there's mutual benefits. It's really about belonging. You have shared value systems and you have long-standing connections. You're trying to build long-standing connections. When we're talking about career growth, I'm really going to stay in the realm of networks and how they are important. And I'm not really talking about community, right? So networks are your relationships are going to help you progress in your career, your professional career, whatever that is. And the strategies that you use to build your personal networks, like for example, my friend, knowing people that could get different things, are the same strategies that you can use when you're thinking about building your professional network. So why am I interested in networks? Why am I talking about this social capital? So when I was many years ago, when I was a high school biology teacher, one of the things that I was always curious about is that I had students, they were very smart, of course, very, very resourceful. I taught in the inner city school district. They had access to a lot of different things, but people still talked about them, whether that was inside the school system or when I told people that I was a teacher, like in this deficit framing, like, they can't read, or, we got to do these particular things for this group of people because they come from low income households. They really always talked about them from a negative perspective. But when I was in a classroom, I felt like they were vibrant, they were smart, like they picked up on the things that I was teaching them. For example, like all of my classes, like I used to have the highest So I taught a state tested subject, which was biology. So everyone who took biology in that school system had to take a state biology assessment to graduate. And they had to pass it, or they had to get a cumulative score on all the assessment. So I taught a tested subject. Many people do not like science, and students tell you that, parents tell you that, community tell you that they don't like science. They don't see what those connections are. But when I was teaching, I loved teaching science, and I was able to get my students to understand the concepts, right? So much so that we had the highest passing rate in the city, especially in my school, like year after year. And these were students that people were saying like, oh, they don't like science, or they can't do this, or they might have failed the math state assessment, they might have failed the reading state assessment, but they were passing the biology assessment. And that was because I understood, that my students weren't lacking in capacity. We just had to teach them what they needed to know in order to be successful. We had to meet them where they are in order to be successful. So one of the things that I was interested in learning about was what makes Black people who pursue careers in STEM become successful. How do they get terminal degrees? How do they become doctors? How do they become engineers with PhDs in STEM? I really wanted to understand, like, how are we choosing these policies and these strategies that we are using in these inner city schools to help students become successful, especially when the conversation was always around what they didn't have because of where they came from. So they didn't have this because they came from low income backgrounds. So I want to understand, how are they making some of these decisions and telling me what to do? And I was doing my own thing, which was, successful. So my dissertation really focused on understanding the facilitators, what were the things that helped, and what are some barriers that Black women or African American women faced when they were trying to achieve terminal degrees in STEM. And what I learned was that it was things outside of school that helped them more than the things that they were doing inside of school. So of course they were taking their classes, whether they were an AP class or not. There were, in the study that I conducted, there was 8 African American women. They all had terminal degrees in STEM. Some of them faced homelessness as a child. Some of them transferred from school to school to school. Some of them were from low income backgrounds, and then a couple of them were came from very wealthy backgrounds. But what I learned from talking to these women, interviewing these women about their experiences from K through 12 and their experiences from college through their doctoral degree or medical degree, the thing that I learned most is that it was their network that really helped support them and help them get to the next level. So school, of course, is important. You need to know the content, but it was those relationships that their parents had that, one, showed them okay, this is what it's like to be an engineer. Oh, if you become a chemistry professor, this is what it would be like. You could develop beauty products. You could develop, all kinds of different things that would be enhancing the Black community or something like that. So they had role models. They had people that they could ask about, okay, if I want to pursue a degree in STEM, what would that look like? So they had people that they could draw from in their network to support them. Not only did they have people who they could draw from that could support them. So from K to 12, it was really their parents who were like, you can do anything that they were interested in. They were interested in astronomy or science. They were buying them science kits or microscopes, or they were putting them in STEM camps in the summertime, right? And in those camps, they were building relationship with people who were in the STEM field, who could tell them about what it would be like to be a part of that field, what kind of capital you needed to be successful in that field in particular. They were even in programs that weren't STEM related. So even if they did a leadership program, some people talked about doing leadership programs. What they learned in that leadership program was how to speak, how to give a presentation. These are skills that you need in order to be successful in STEM when you are sharing out your findings, when you're going to conferences, etc. So they met people along the way that helped them be successful. And then when they got to college and beyond college and graduate school, these women talked about how it wasn't really like their parents were there to give them moral support and support them. But what was really helpful was another graduate student who came through the same lab that they were in. Because that graduate student would be like, okay, if you want to be successful in this class, this is how you need to communicate with this professor. If you want to do well in this lab and get on papers and things like that, this is how you need to communicate with that professor. This is what you need to say in the email. This is who you need to copy in the email. There were people in their network that were giving them the tools to success in that field. And so those are some things that they talked about that really helped them to be successful. And so in my work, what I really found in helping early career scholars is early career scholars, Black scholars in general, no matter what stage you're in your career, we're always doubted. Not always. I'm speaking like blanket language, but I know that everybody experiences is not a monolith. It's not one way. But a lot of times people don't think that you are as knowledgeable as you are, that you can't do certain things. And you really need people, relationships with people, in order to get you to the next level. One, you need relationships with people that's going to show you what are the rules to this game. What's what many of us call the hidden curriculum. So if you're trying to get a grant, what do you need to do? If you don't know a program officer at the National Science Foundation, what are the steps that you need to take to build a relationship with a program officer? Where would you meet a program officer? How do you get a program officer to be a part of your network? How do you build relationships with them? So people in your network really help you navigate your professional career. And that's why you need a very diverse network. So the network that you may need at home in order to get you certain things is going to be different from the relationships that you need in the workplace. Like that's internal relationships. Do you know the VP at your job? Are you going to those social events to connect with your colleagues? Outside of your job, how are you getting papers published? Do you know people at journals? Do you know editors? Do you know people that you could collaborate with on a project? Do you know people that's going to speak up for you when you are not in the room? All of those different types of relationships are going to allow you to have access to a new place. And I'm talking about these strategies, and I'm talking about the importance of relationships. I don't want you to think that I'm ignoring the systemic barriers, right? There are systemic barriers that we face, especially as Black people in these spaces, especially in all of these spaces, but particularly in corporate America. We face walls or ceilings or people who feel like we can't do certain things, and they don't even give us the opportunity to even do those things. So I'm not trying to say like, hey, if you work 2 times, you need to work 2 times harder. I'm not trying to say like ignore all those factors and networking is going to be the magic thing to get you over those barriers. But what I am trying to share is that networking is very important. And if you think about it as these loose transactional relationships that provide you access to different spaces, then that will help you in thinking about what are the spaces that you need access to. What are the relationships that you need in order to be successful? And those relationships are going to be different internally. They're going to be different internally when I'm saying internally in your current position, in your organization. There are going to be different types of relationships that you're going to need to get, external things that you may need to have. There's going to be different types of relationships that you need for personal gain. So when you are going to networking events, those are opportunities for you to think about, okay, my goal here is to meet somebody so that I can get on an advisory board, or I want to meet an editor at a journal so I can understand, like, how do you get papers published at this journal. These are all different types of relationships that you need to be fostering. And, some of it is performative. Some of it is performative. These are very transactional relationships. One of the things that I always laugh at, but I also admire, is that there's this guy at my job, and anytime he goes to a conference or he does a review, he sends an email to the VP, myself, because I'm at a higher level than him, and a couple people, so the leadership team, to say, like, hey, I got accepted to this conference, this is what I'm presenting on. But what he's doing is he's letting people know, like, hey, I'm making moves in this space and you should know who I am, right? He's being very intentional about that. And when people think about, like, oh, somebody in computer science, they're gonna be like, oh, I know so-and-so sent me an email and said he got accepted to this conference. Right? So thinking about what are those types of relationships that's going to help you move forward is very important. Those relationships are your social capital. Those relationships help you help you understand what are the rules to this game. What is the curriculum that you are not going to learn in school? In school, you're going to get your degree. You're not going to learn how to talk to your VP. You're not going to learn how to necessarily write a grant, right? You may learn that grant writing is important, and here's the components of grant writing, but unless you take a grant writing course, there's going to be some of these other things that's not taught that you can learn when you have relationships. So that's one of the things that I really focus on when I'm working with early career scholars is, one, I want to be a part of their network, right? I want to make sure that they understand the things that are not going to be taught in the classroom. Once you get out of the classroom, unless you have a mentor or somebody that's really full-time investing in you, what most people don't have, some of these things you're not going to learn, right? So I try to focus on that when I'm working with early career scholars. So really, I know you heard it before, your network is your net worth. It's important. We've seen it in many different fields. People who are really resourceful, who can get anything in your community. And I want you to think about that in your career. Really investigate who is in your network, who is there to help you, show you the things that you're not going to be taught on the job training, the things that you're not going to be taught, outside of work. And then I'll just give one more example. So when I was traveling, I travel a lot for work. I travel maybe once a month for work. When I was traveling this particular time with my VP, he was like, oh, do you know how when you're in first class, something? I'm like, no, I don't know anything about that. I'm not in first class. And then he was like, oh, well, when you travel for work, this is how you need to travel to make sure that it's a comfortable experience. Not that you had to be in first class, but he shared some tips with me about traveling, but that I would not have had if I wasn't in that room with him. So just understand, like, that is a relationship that I built over time and a connection that I had over time with him. But he shared something that maybe other people knew that I didn't know. Another example is I was in a meeting and people were talking about bonuses. I had just got promoted and people were talking about, oh, this bonus here. And I didn't even realize people were getting bonuses every year. And if I wasn't in that room, I would not have realized that. And then I started to say, like, oh, hey, to my manager, hey, these are the things that I did. Can you recommend me for a bonus? Like, I had to advocate for myself. But being in particular rooms, having access to those rooms, allowed me to understand things that was going on in the company that I would not have known if I was not in those rooms. And I was in those rooms because I was building relationships with people. So I just want to encourage you to think about your network, think about the relationships in your network, and think about them. I know sometimes it may be hard to be transactional. Black people especially, we like to build community. We want people to, believe in us, to trust us, to be loyal to us. But when we're thinking about professional relationships, they are really about access. So think about that. If you want to have a bomb concert for 3 days, think about all the people that you can call to make that happen. If you want to do a conference, who are the people that you could call to make that happen, that you know is going to make it great? We can't do it all on our own. We know that there are a lot of barriers, a lot of things in place that try to stop our motion, slow our motion. But think about what are some things that we can do to kind of push forward. And so I hope today's episode was helpful for you. Again, thank you for joining me and listening to some of these strategies. Let me know if they're helpful. Let me know what you think about the episode. Please follow, like, and subscribe to my YouTube channel, Align Consulting Partners. Also, follow me on Instagram at Align Consulting Partners. I'm trying to share that corporate curriculum to you, things that you wouldn't necessarily learn in a classroom, things that you might not have access to if you're not in the right room. So follow me. Episode drops every week, and I'll be sharing more tips. Again, like, follow, and subscribe on YouTube at Align Consulting Partners. You can also go to my website at alignconsultingpartners.com and follow me on Instagram, Align Consulting Partners. Thank you.